Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel. And if you're new, welcome. I hope you choose to stick around. In this video, I will be discussing Scream, one of my favorite horror movies of all time, if not number one. In honor of spooky season, and today is finally Halloween. Let me know down below in the comments what you're doing for Halloween. Are you going out, having a party? Are you gonna stay in? Are you gonna watch scary movies? Are you gonna dress up in costumes? Let me know. Hope you guys like this video, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Helps your girl greatly. Now let's get into it.
I'm gonna be turning, keep holding me down.
Now, I don't know if this is common knowledge, but I am a huge horror fan. I love horror movies. I've been this way ever since an itty bitty child. I've just loved them. My first horror movie was at 4 years old, and it was Freddy versus Jason. Love the genre. Love it. And over the years, out of all the horror movies I've watched, I've grown, to have my little cult following of movies that I just absolutely love and adore and will go to the ends of the earth defending. One of those movies was Halloween, 1978, John Carpenter's Halloween. That was my ultimate favorite horror movie of all time for a really long time. I mean, like years. That was my number one horror movie. And in my eyes, nothing could beat that. Nothing in this world could beat John Carpenter's Halloween. And even to this day, that is a masterpiece. And although my opinion has shifted a little bit, that movie is still a masterpiece. Very hard to upstage that movie. But I've grown to really adore Scream. Scream 1996, Wes Craven. That movie is phenomenal. It is phenomenal. When I tell you, out of all the horror movies that I love, that one is probably the one I rewatch the absolute most. I'm not a DVD person. I've bought a few of my favorite horror DVDs just because, I like those movies. But to be honest, I'm not a DVD person. I'm a digital. I'm from the 21st century. I like all my things digital. But Scream is one of the few movies where I bought the DVD because I just absolutely adore that movie. It is my favorite horror movie. I don't know when the shift happened, but it happened, and I don't think she's going anywhere. I think Scream is here to stay. But in this video, like I said, I'll just be giving you a few reasons as to why I believe Scream is probably one of the greatest horror movies ever made. One of those reasons, and the very first reason, is that opening scene. Few other scenes in horror have terrified me the way that opening scene did. And it's a pretty simple opening scene. You have Casey Becker, played by Drew Barrymore. She's home alone, popping popcorn, getting ready for a movie night with her boyfriend, and she gets an anonymous call. And at first, it's a little innocent call. He's just like, oh, I have the wrong number. Or she's like, oh, I think you have the wrong number. And she hangs up. She's like, oh, it's okay, it's fine. They hang up. Then the person calls again. And she was like, well, why did you call me again? And the person on the other end said, oh, just to say sorry. All is forgiven. Click. Hang up. Then it just gets progressively worse and worse. He keeps calling her. And I think it was a very bold move to have like your main star die within the first 10 minutes of the movie. And her face was plastered all over the movie posters. Make people think, because Drew Barrymore was the biggest star at that time that was starring in that movie. So it was like people going in thinking, okay, Drew Barrymore's in this movie. She's definitely going to be the final girl, or at least one of the ones that survived towards the end of the movie. Something of that sort. They said first 10 minutes, she's out of here. She's gone. We had enough of Casey Becker. She's out of here. So I think it was a very bold move for them to kill off like their biggest star in like the first 10 minutes of the movie. People went in completely blindsided, not knowing that was going to happen. And I think that was genius. That was genius. Also, that line in the opening scene where he's asking her like, oh, what's your name? And she's like, why do you want to know my name? And he says, because I want to know who I'm looking at. Nightmare fuel. Literally nightmare fuel. When I tell you that opening scene is one of the scariest scenes in horror history, I am not joking. Also, Scream has given us one of our greatest final girls in horror history, Miss Sidney Prescott, played by my girl Neve Campbell. Like, when people talk of final girls, Sydney Prescott is definitely in that conversation. And who did that? Scream. Scream birthed Sydney Prescott. And also, Neve Campbell did a phenomenal job at bringing Sydney Prescott to life in the films, and, you know, proving Sydney Prescott is in the conversation of best final girls, and you can do nothing about it. I have not met a single person who did not like Sydney Prescott. And if you don't like her, you need to get checked. Something is wrong with you. Sydney Prescott, 10 out of 10, one of my favorite final girls. You know, it's definitely her and Laurie Strode, top two. I mean, can you blame me? Iconic. Iconic. Another part that really solidifies Scream as one of the best horror movies for me is the meta aspect. Now, if you ask people about Scream, this will be one of the main topics that people talk about, is how this movie is so meta, and like this movie knows it's a horror movie, and they like give you tips and tricks to how to survive a horror movie, and they kind of foreshadow what's gonna happen, because like it's a horror movie. This is what happens in horror movies. And that scene with Randy going over the rules, things of that nature, is very meta. I think that was something super like groundbreaking back then in the 90s, and I think that is like pioneer. Scream pioneered. Also, the twist ending. Now, it's debatable if whether you can tell who the killers or killer is by the end of the movie, but having a twist ending, hey, who doesn't love a good twist? Who doesn't love a good switcheroo? Like, I think movies that end in like a plot twist are the best. Even if you can kind of tell a mile away, I still enjoy those movies. And to have two killers, not one, but two, unprecedented. Like, we have two serial killers lurking around. That's crazy. And on top of that, with the two killers, this movie is very scary in a way. Like, this killer could be anybody. It could be your neighbor. It could be the person sitting next to you in class. It could be your principal. Like, I think there is something so sinister about this killer could be somebody you know personally and you hang out with and are best friends with. Like, who knows who the killer is? So I think there's something so sinister about that. Like, wow, the best friend I have right now could literally be murdering people behind my back and I would have no idea until the end. That's scary. Also, this movie introduced Courtney Cox and David Arquette, one of my favorite couples. I think they were cute, and they're on a screen chemistry. So adorable. I loved watching them together. Unfortunately, they didn't last, but that's okay. I still think they have a mutual love and respect for each other, so I can live with that. But they introduced us to Courtney Cox and David Arquette. Love that for them. I love. This movie is also very quotable. Like, there isn't a day that I personally go without quoting this movie in some way. I find a way to quote this movie in my regular day-to-day life. That's just me personally. This movie is very quotable, definitely stood the test of time. A lot of movies from that era or even eras previous cannot say the same. They don't really stand the test of time. One of those movies definitely is John Carpenter's Halloween, but this movie has proven that she can be enjoyed 20, 30, 40 years later. She will always be that girl. And my last point to make as to why this movie is the greatest horror movie or one of the greatest horror movies is because it has Matthew Lillard in it. Who doesn't love Matthew Lillard? And to think, Shaggy was a serial killer. I love the versatility of Matthew Lillard. Give my man his flowers. Give my man all his 10s. He deserves it. National treasure he is. I stan Matthew Lillard. Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video of me telling you why Scream is a masterpiece in the horror genre and why I will continue to love this movie and ride for this movie as long as I live. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys have a great Halloween. Hope you have fun. Don't have too much fun though, you know. I don't want you out there getting sick, but y'all have a blast tonight and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.